We're here with Grover Norquist, and he's the best strategist on how to make a coalition to protect liberty and to make sure they don't raise our taxes. So he gave a great talk, and I wanted to share with our audience his the essentials.
Sure. I talked about how we have in the past built a Leave Us Alone coalition, expanding the number of people who homeschool, for instance, because they care very deeply about that freedom and want to defend and extend it. The Second Amendment community, 11 million people now have concealed carry permits. Every time somebody gets one of those, they're more likely to vote the party of liberty. Self-employed people, shareholders, all become more interested in liberty, more sensitive to the aggressive nature of the state. Vaping, people who use e-cigarettes, don't want their e-cigarettes or vaping banned or taxed. That issue didn't exist 6 years ago. Homeschooling didn't exist 30 years ago. Concealed carry 30 years ago was very, very rare. These are new freedoms that were created that create and expand the constituency for liberty. So we should always be on the lookout for new groups to bring in, ways to create people who are very sensitive to statism and want to fight against it, and then we should look at the structures of the left or of statism and figure out how to reduce the costs and their powers and their use of tax dollars to hurt the rest of us.
Excellent points. So basically, we need to focus on common ground, where we have people that are all pro-liberty, and how we can get them together to be an effective political force.
Yes, but we have to realize that there are 100 different reasons to want liberty. You may want to pray all day and are only concerned about religious liberty. You may be focused on your Second Amendment rights. You may be focused on having your business not regulated or your money not taxed. People have to recognize that everybody who's there on a vote-moving issue that's pro-liberty is your ally. They don't have to vote for the same party and the same candidates for the same reasons. They can be voting for very different reasons.
Is there anything that you can recommend as far as the Congress, how we can get the Congress to reduce spending and not to increase taxes?
Just talk to your congressman, write them letters, email them. They do listen to this stuff. Go to the congressman's home district. They're much more sensitive to being lobbied than the guys in Washington, D.C., who are professionals at being lobbied. It really shakes them up when you show up at their office in the home district.
So you think we can count on the Republican Congress to have some guts and to limit spending in the next budget?
Yes, because compared to what was happening before the Republicans took the House, we've taken federal spending from 24.5% down to 20% in 3.5 years. That was real progress with the sequester. Is it everything we need to do? No. Is that unimaginably successful given they have the presidency and had the Senate? Yes. Yeah, so we're moving in the right direction.
But now it's possible to present Obama with bills that reduce spending and with riders on the bills he wants to sign.
Okay.
And so he has to either veto a bill that he wants to sign or sign it and
swallow
the rider.
We're going to have to learn to ask for small enough steps forward that it's not worth his while to veto the whole bill. If you ask for something too big, he'll veto it, and he can't. If you ask for a lot of little things, he can pass them. We made a lot of progress during the Clinton years as he signed things he didn't really want in the bill. He wouldn't sign a big surrender, but he would sign many teeny surrenders.
You're a historian, and you remember when Newt Gingrich had, put the non-spending issue on the front burner, and there was a shutdown, and the Republican Party caved when Clinton called it bluff, and he laid off a few non-essential workers, and then so since that time, Republicans have been panicking about holding their own on spending because they're afraid of the same situation as before. Do you agree with my analysis, or do you think
I
it's
agree
not
that
exactly
in
right?
'95, the Senate under Bob Dole caved, at which point Gingrich had to as well. We've now improved the Senate a lot. This time around, when Obama said the world will end if you don't do what I want, Boehner said no, $2.5 billion and trillion in spending restraint, and he won it. He got exactly what he wanted. So we held, they blinked.
Okay, so you think that they'll be able to hold under the threat of a shutdown because That's it. That's the Democrats'
Okay.
game, right? They're gonna claim that
If-
Republicans are responsible for the shutdown. Republicans panic and then they cave.
Right. If the Republicans say we're going to shut the government down, as Ted Cruz did, you will lose that debate because they'll stick the microphone and say this is what Ted Cruz said they were doing. If it is Obama's fault for vetoing things and closing it down, then he has the problem. When some people foolishly said, well, we think we'd rather close the government down, then they owned that problem. You don't want to close the government down. When you close the government down, nobody talks about the issue you were fighting, like Obamacare a year ago. What they remember is the government got shut down. So it's Obama's interest to have the government shut down being discussed. It's in our interest to have the issue of the day being discussed.
Put the small riders on. Put the small riders on.
Yes.
And reduce spending here. How about a little rider like this? Eradicate the Department of Education.
That would not qualify under a little rider. Be a good rider, but not a little one. Do what you can, elect a president. You can't make significant progress until you get a different president.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the interview.
Take care. Take it easy.